Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Chuck Rogers, licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Keith Dunn, and I'm a network engineer and professional collar fixer.
And together we are Tabletop Coffee.
Where we are bold and never ever bitter.
And tonight we're going to talk about how to take care of some immediate needs and repair after somebody's had an affair. Stay tuned and we'll talk about it.
So I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past, and we've covered a few different things as far as how to deal with things in a relationship. And also we've kind of touched on maybe different things that go on as far as an affair and how to come back out of that. Is that where you're going with this?
Yeah. I oftentimes have couples come in for 1 and 2 day intensives. It's just what I do.
Right.
And then we do shorter follow-up sessions. But oftentimes the reason that people come is because one or both people have had an extramarital affair.
Okay.
So I've got to give very specific instructions because people can recover and do recover, but they've really got to do it and do it well and follow my directives on this. And it really is not a good idea to deviate from these.
Okay.
So first of all, there has to be absolute transparency going forward.
Okay.
So the offended person, the hurt person, I don't know how else to say it. Usually both people are really hurting, but we'll call it the betrayer and the betrayee or hurt person. The betrayer has to be totally forthright going forward.
Okay.
And has to answer all the questions of the offended person as deeply and as long and as many times as he or she really wants. I encourage people to use track A or track B, and I really prefer track A, but sometimes track A doesn't work for everyone.
So tell me the difference between track A and track B.
Track A is that the betrayer discloses when the affair started, when it ended, and was it sexual.
Okay.
Because those details are in black and white. Do you really want it in living color?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because once you ring the bell, you can't unhear it. No. You can't unsee something. You can't unhear something. So that's my preference. But sometimes the person will say, I'm not a track A person. I'm a track B person.
Right.
I need the details. And so you disclose everything.
Okay.
But you caution the person and say, do you really want to know those details? Sometimes when people get it, they kind of go, oh, is that all it was? I thought it was worse. So sometimes for some people, it can be really helpful. And it's always the call of the person who's been betrayed.
Okay.
Then the next piece is that you've got to be totally forthright going forward if there's any contact whatsoever by the betrayer and the affair partner.
Okay.
Oftentimes they will try to reach you through Facebook, through
Text
other
messaging.
social media, through text messaging, phone calls, private emails, work emails, whatever. And we talk about how to kind of proof that a little bit.
Okay.
And you're an IT expert, and you know there's always ways around everything.
There are ways around everything.
But there are some things that you can do so that it's more helpful. We've done videos on this. You can't have secrets.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody's password. Everybody has everybody's total access to email and social media accounts.
Right.
Just total transparency.
Sure.
Make sure and watch that video.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about that in, any relationship. I like being able to have my wife, she can grab my phone and get on Facebook or do whatever she wants. I'm never concerned about anything or sitting down at my computer or whatever. I love that transparency, but I can definitely see in a situation like this.
It's a must.
It's a must.
Yeah.
But at some point, and I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but I would assume you do. At some point, that has to fall off, and that trust has to be built back in again.
Yeah, trust is right behavior over time, and at some point, the betrayed person won't even want to check.
Sure.
anymore. But that's likely to be further down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The other
can
thing that
understand
has to happen is that if there's any contact whatsoever
Right.
that's initiated by the affair partner to the betrayer,
Right.
the betrayer has to tell his partner or her
Okay.
partner
Right.
that it happened.
Hmm.
And I give this example every time. I said, let's
Okay.
pretend that I've had an affair on my wife and now we're working to repair our relationship.
Right.
And I'm in Kroger, which is a grocery store here in Virginia.
Right.
And I'm in the produce section and I look up and there's my affair partner.
Okay.
I haven't done anything wrong. It's just that I ran into this person.
Right.
You just kind of say hello and you push your cart on and you go forward. And you immediately pull out your phone and you text. I would text my wife and say,
Okay.
I'm in Kroger, was in produce. I looked up, there she was. I greeted her, nodded my head, and moved on. Just wanted you to know. That's must happen. Because if you don't, now, it's sometimes tempting to not do it.
Right.
Because if I text my wife and tell her that, what's it going to be like for her?
Oh, it's going to be hard, and it's going to bring everything to the forefront for that moment.
For that moment.
But if you don't,
Oh, yeah.
and something happens to where the other person finds out some other way,
And they will.
then it feels like you're betraying.
Yeah,
again.
I can't begin to tell you how many ways it comes up. For instance, sometimes, especially smaller towns like Lynchburg, I mean,
Right.
we have, 70,000 people in
Sure.
Lynchburg, so it's not like Timbuktu, but, somebody will have seen me and they'll run into my wife and go, hey, I saw Chuck the other day. He was in produce at Kroger and I was going to say hello, but he was talking to some woman.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to interrupt, so I went on. Then my wife is going to come to me and say, who was the woman in Kroger that you were talking to? And I'm
Right.
going to say it's...
Yeah, so and so,
Yeah.
and then it seems like you
Yeah,
were trying to keep something.
And then she's going to say, well, why didn't you tell me? And I'm going to say, because it wasn't a big deal. Well, if it wasn't a big deal, then why didn't you say something?
Exactly.
Or later on, my wife will say to me, it's been 6 months and we've been doing really well. And I just wanted to check, have you seen
Sure.
her?
Right.
And I'll say, well, yeah, I actually saw her in Kroger about a month ago. Well, why didn't you say something? Because it wasn't a big deal. Well, if it wasn't a big deal, then why didn't you say something?
And then it resets that 6 month
does.
time.
So now you go back
Mm-hmm.
and have to regain that trust that you've had built and now have lost. So it will hurt the other person in the moment to make that disclosure,
Right.
but it's good. It's difficult, but it's good. And it puts trust coins in the trust account
Okay.
and it actually helps you move forward rather than making you regress.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So those are just a couple of things that need to take place to help people begin to move forward
Okay.
after an affair.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
We have another video that kind of talks a little bit about the first part when you were talking about going down road A, or it wasn't a road, but
Plan A, Plan B.
A, or
Trickle
Plan
Truth.
B. Trickle Truth.
Trickle Truth was that video.
Yeah, I remember us doing that and talking about that's the worst thing that you can do is trickle truth. And I'll put the link up here
It's a great
because
video.
it kind of builds off of that, and you don't want to trickle the truth because it just makes that road really long and hard. You either make the decision of, I only want to know this much, or I want to know it all. But if you want to know it all, then it all needs to be laid out so that you're not coming back a month later and saying, well, this happened, or another question is asked and you have to elaborate, but you didn't cover everything. That's what Trickle Truth was about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Great video. Check it out.
Yeah.
I hope you liked your content. If you did, please subscribe because Keith would really appreciate that.
Yes, please subscribe. Ding that bell so you're notified of upcoming episodes.
Make sure to like it.
Yep, share it with your friends.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time. No, now it's hidden by the jacket. Pull it here, let me do that.
Please fix my collar for me.
Sure, go.
That's why I keep you around.
I know.
You're a great collar fixer.
I
You're a network engineer and a collar fixer.
and a collar fixer. Man, it's like I don't even know what to say about that. I'm at a loss for words, which does not happen very often.
No, you're usually a pretty good yacker.
Yes, I'm a good yacker.
You're a yak.
Yeah, I'm a yak. And a collar fixer.